Welcome to Wisdom Wednesday on .Team Talks. Each episode we dive into the favourite book, habit or tool of our special guests. They share what inspires them and how it helped them grow personally and professionally. In this episode we explore the lessons that go beyond books, how knowledge, decisions and experience shape success. From personal growth to business strategy, this conversation is all about unlocking new perspectives and pushing the boundaries of what's possible. Yeah. Cool. All right, lovely. Just sort of moving on. So you've given us some great pieces of advice and learnings today, so I'm most impressed with that. There are a couple of things would be great to watchers or listeners. It can be all sorts of medium these days. A couple of things that, upon reflection, that you found to be really good. So maybe in terms of a non-fiction book, what have you read or what have you left an impact on you that you'd recommend?
Yeah, so I've actually two books, but they are different versions of the same thing. And I actually gift these to people quite frequently. So the first is the Dilbert Principle by Scott Adams.
Yeah.
And the second is David and Goliath by Malcolm Gladwell. And what both books do is they help with taking different perspectives on typically business situations or in sense biblical, but just to really understand what's going on. So I talked earlier on about understanding what game you're in, understanding the game you're playing. Without spoiling it, one of the stories in Gladwell's book is about David and Goliath, and he explains why David was always going to win. And in fact, it was Goliath who had the disadvantage. So there's no surprise there, even to the point that David cheated, but would have won regardless. So that's, again, another perspective on something that happened. So it's useful because a bit like understanding insights in marketing or in market research, which you'll be aware of, it's the best way to learn is through practice. It's very difficult just to get a definition of what it is and find it. So both of these books give numerous examples of different perspectives. The Dilbert Principle is absolutely full of them in terms of things companies say and what they actually mean by what they say. But it's not to everybody's taste. So failing that, you can read the Gladwell book. But I think they're both worth a read because they both give numerous examples of that kind of thinking, which is the best way to learn it.
Indeed, sitting in somebody else's shoes or walking in somebody else's shoes, as you say, it's a great perspective. And what about a tool or a habit that you have that you think, right, this has really done me well and I couldn't do without it now?
It's definitely Google Maps, but that's not the one I'm going to go with. I've always had some kind of online or computer-based note-keeping thing. I started with Evernote years ago, and I've been through Microsoft OneNote and Notion, but I've actually come back to Apple Notes.
Okay.
Work on a Mac. The fact that Apple Intelligence is coming along is maybe interesting, but Apple Notes is sort of what I organize everything around. With a little bit of practice, it's quite amazingly powerful. But it's also simple enough for a Luddite such as myself to be able to manage his way through it as well. So that's the one tool I choose. Looking forward, perhaps Apple Intelligence they talk about, there's a lot of talk about AI now and ChatGPT and so on. I haven't found a way of using it usefully as yet, but I imagine I'll get there pretty quickly.
I think a lot of it goes on behind the scenes. You don't realise that it's helping you with your words and your suggestions.
Yeah. I don't use it so much, though, talking about ChatGPT and that kind of thing for summaries. I find what I take out of a lot of the things I read is different. And also, when I'm trying to create some kind of content around it, I think it's necessary to know what you've left out as well as what you would choose to put in.
Excellent, yeah. And what about future apps or hobby tools or behaviours that you might want to have a go at?
A bit like my choice of Apple Notes over ChatGPT, the one thing the habit that I would like to do a lot more of is just exclude things. Just go, not I'm going to get to that, or I'm going to, I need to summarize or work on that. I just need to go, that's not where my focus is at the moment.
Okay, saying no, almost.
The opposite, saying no, the opposite of collecting. So just shedding things, and there's quite a relief to it as well. It's a better working day.
No, that makes sense, as you say, the focus. Brilliant. And finally, in terms of your younger self, what piece of advice or reflection would you look back and say, if I was in my 20s or my teens, this is what I wish I had known?
I would say it's a lesson I keep learning, but that in a somewhat flippant way, nobody knows what they're doing. I remember being 14 years old watching, a local lad play football and thinking that was amazing. Imagine being 18. And then I got to 18 and I felt exactly like I did when I was 14, and I still wasn't any good at football. But as you progress through your career as well, you imagine that the boss or whatever else has all the answers, and in fact they don't. And I think that kind of thinking leads to expectations possible to make the right decisions all the time. And increasingly I have a model whereby, the first thing you need to do with the marketing department is you get the basics right consistently and at speed. That's a great place to automate. And when you're doing that, then you're on the lookout for opportunities of sort of breakthrough success. And they may never come, and they may all come at once. But knowing that all the case studies you see are those one-off or infrequent opportunities, not what people do all the time. So it's sort of an extension of it. And I think as a younger person, imagining that someone gets it right all the time and not knowing that people are just, trying to figure it out as they go along, it both creates pressure, but it doesn't open up being receptive to what these opportunities are. So you need to know, and to a certain extent, ignoring doing the basics as well, which can be detrimental to one's career. I've also found out.
Yeah, well, excellent. That's some fantastic reflections for our listeners. So thank you so much. Really appreciated speaking to you.
Thank you, Jane, and we'll talk again, I'm sure.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you. Thanks for joining this episode of Wisdom Wednesdays on .Team Talks. Remember, small changes can define key decisions in your success. Until next time.